Hi, guys. Welcome to the No BS podcast. Whoa. Quick interruption from Future Colin here, guys. I just wanted to say that we did record all of these podcasts at once. So this is the one that I am releasing first. I believe I'm going to be releasing the one with my friend David. But I recorded 6 at once, so I didn't really know which one was going to be the first episode. But this one is the first episode, so welcome to the No BS podcast. The one rule is no bullshit. I am trying to keep episodes around 20-some minutes, but as you see, some go a little bit longer. One goes way longer, but I hope you guys are enjoying. So don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that stuff. I hope you guys love this brand new podcast. Many more episodes will be to come, so I hope you're all having a great day. The podcast with absolutely no bullshit. Today I am joined by my good friend over here. What's your name?
David. Thanks for having me on the cum couch. I appreciate it.
Apparently that's a joke now, guys. David and I.
It's not a joke.
David?
Yeah.
You remember where we met?
I think so. I believe we were in Catholic elementary school.
Yes, that is where we met, guys. I think. Did we?
I think so. We were in Catholic elementary school, and I remember because you were the only black boy there. It was you
You're
and
right.
a goon.
There were black
You and
girls
a
there,
goon,
but
that's it.
guys, being Catholic was rough.
Yeah.
I mean,
We were all white.
it was scary, man. It was a scary time, and, you know, me being a black Catholic almost got sent off to Catholic boarding school when I was 15.
Should have gone.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have missed me.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at the time. We would have scored 4.7 less points on our basketball team, but that was about it.
I averaged way
Anyway.
more than 4.7.
So thanks for being
That
here.
is absolute bullshit.
We're gonna go ahead. And
This podcast is no bullshit, Dave. We're not supposed to bullshit.
Fair enough. I'm a child of divorce, and marriage is a sham.
That was the topic we were going for.
50% of marriages end in divorce, and quite frankly, more marriages will end in divorce.
I mean, I just feel like a thing with relationships is like they start, and what starts ends.
No one listened to. Well, very few listened to our podcast that we did a while back. But I made the comment that every single relationship, happy or not, the two people talk about wanting the two people individually think I want a divorce at some point during that relationship. And I believe it. Every single marriage, there is a moment where at least one person has like I think I want a divorce. That doesn't mean they really mean it, but it happens. Like one parent is like, I don't know if this is worth it anymore.
We really just kind of jumped into that topic, David. I think it'd be a little helpful if you if you're comfortable explaining your experience just a little bit, you know. So obviously you were born.
I was born in Des Moines on 2000, October 26th. Des Moines, Iowa, not Des Moines, New Orleans.
Des Moines, Texas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Des Moines, your mom.
So I believe my parents got divorced when I was 8, which would have let my little brother be 5, and it was weird because my mom stayed in the childhood house. My dad moved out, went to a duplex for a while, and then where'd he go? Then he moved to a house, and it's just his house right now. Where'd he go?
Where did he go? He died.
I wasn't.
He went out to get the milk. No, that was my dad.
I wasn't.
I'm kidding. My dad's white, guys. My dad's white.
What does that mean?
Then he came back.
Just that's the only reason he stuck around is because he was white.
I mean, my mom's black. My mom would have found him and beat his ass.
You're not wrong. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I have always had a pretty good connection with both parents. I think it's just because I was older when it happened, but I know a lot of times it matters a lot more too whether the two parents are willing to co-parent, which is the biggest part of any divorce.
I do agree. How was the co-parenting process? Was it something they had to figure out, or did it feel like to you at that age that they just somehow just knew what they were doing?
Well, I mean, I think it was because of the age. I was young, and both my parents were super mature about the whole process. So since I was so young, it was kind of like the development for me. It wasn't like I was 13 and my parents got divorced, so then I had to do a whole new lifestyle.
You just felt like you grew up with them divorced. And
Yeah.
It was just like the way you live. So you didn't really know much other of a way to live.
I could probably say that I thought most kids had the same situation that I had. Like I thought every kid went to their mom's house for some nights and then their dad's house for other nights.
I mean, you're probably at a point where you're not necessarily wrong. There's probably if I'd guess, probably like 20-ish% at least.
Speaking of co-parenting, I'm gonna make my bold claim of the video. If
You're going to make many
fair,
bold claims.
but this one might strike if people actually listen to this. If you co-parent and your children are young and you separate your children, that is incorrect. You should not separate siblings if you get a divorce. Do shared custody, because you are going to fuck up the relationship between two kids if you split up the two children, especially if they're young. That's something I very much believe. My brother and I were never separated, and if we were, we wouldn't be any kind of friend.
I feel like that would just make the entire situation harder for the kids. And it's if you are going to co-parent, it's like you're doing that because that's what you want, what's best for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't make any sense to split them up to me. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and so the reason that parents split them up is it's selfish, right? One or both parents don't want the other parent to have both kids, and parents can't just decide to do like a shared custody where like they get the kids 1 week and then the next week the kids go to the other parent. So instead what happens is the parent always want to have at least one kid around, and then the kids don't get to spend the time with each other.
I feel like that growing up, while I do not get along with my sister super well,
Sure.
I feel like just having someone else in the house to play with and do whatever with was a very important part of just like growing up and like learning what you can and can't get away with necessarily.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like I'm not gonna say my brother and I get along super well even today, but yeah, I mean, it always gave us someone to, even if we didn't play together, we picked on each other.
Mm-hmm.
It gave us someone to bully when we were bored. If my brother was bored, he'd come into my room and throw something at me, and if I was bored, I'd go into his room and throw something at him.
I just tried to teach Sarah how to hula hoop. Didn't really work, mostly because I couldn't hula hoop myself.
That's a key.
Aspect. Yeah. I taught her how to ride a bike though at 3 years old. Like she could ride a bike with no training wheels at 3 years old.
How did you teach her at 3 years old,
dude? She
must have been like 0.
She was
How did you do that?
That's
incredible.
She was 3. I was like 6.
Okay. I'm glad my math was correct there though.
Yeah.
On the other one.
Yeah. No, your math was correct, but yeah.
Yeah. No, I think another thing with divorce is I think a lot of parents are scared to get divorced because of the development of their child, which it makes sense, but there's not really any great statistics saying divorcing is what causes like ill effect in your child's development.
Yeah,
but there is studies saying bad co-parenting is what causes ill effects in your child's development. Like if two parents fight, or what happens a lot too is the mom will talk to the son ill about the father, and then the father will talk to the son ill about the mother,
and then
the son gets fucked up because he's like, oh, they all hate each other.
Just putting the kids in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying, at least, is like divorce. Divorce is not necessarily something you should be scared of, and it's something you should do sooner rather than later.
Divorce is a good thing. Like
if you were legitimately stuck with them for the rest of your life,
I think if
people wouldn't get married.
If you're in love with someone, stay with them. You're gonna have hard times where you're gonna say like, "Oh, I want to fucking divorce them." Don't do it until it feels like you really need to. But once you need to, fucking do it. Like, there's no reason to hold a marriage together, unless if it's like I can't even think. I mean, maybe there's like monetary reasons for like tax purposes or like maybe immigration marriage purposes, but
Yeah, no, out of a lot of my friends that do have divorced parents, I've heard a lot of them talk about the fighting and the bickering and how one's always the bad guy and it goes back and forth, and it just like it makes them not want to be around their parents.
Yeah. I have a friend with a divorced parent. I'm not going to name drop anyone.
I wasn't planning on name dropping anyone.
He was like a super good childhood friend of mine, and his development was kind of fucked up, and we don't talk anymore. But his parents fought all the time, and so he ended up getting super attached to his dad. And then the mother fought custody because she claimed the dad fucked up the kid so that the kid didn't like her. And so now I'm pretty sure he's in college now, but he lived with his mom only. And so just like imagine that is like there's development where you grow up hating your mom, living with your dad, and then when you're like 16, you're forced by the government to move in with your mom.
Dang.
Like you can't see your dad based on like court-ordered purposes, I think divorce court is something that needs to be worked on quite a bit.
I mean,
and it's something that's always
with
working.
how often it happens, because again, it's what 50% of marriages end in divorce
I think that's just like a
or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. I don't not believe the statistic with how many like people do.
I don't know if that's
I don't know if it's
like,
accurate, but
perfect,
I would say that it's probably over 20%.
oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
which is a decent amount. Like that's 1 in 5.
Sorry.
Like 20% is 1 in 5. So like that's a decent amount of people getting divorced, and that's probably like what a lot of people spend their time in court doing. So
And I'll point out the reason I say marriage is a sham is I feel like I have pretty good reason. If you are dating someone, right? It's really hard to break up with them, even if it feels like you should break up, right? It's really hard. But if you're married,
I don't
want
to speak from firsthand experience, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, even if and then when you're married with someone, it gets even harder because then there's like legal obligation to stay with this person.
You also just have, I feel like when you're married, it's again, you've like made those vows and you have this connection, especially if you've had a kid.
Yeah.
It's like there's so much that's holding you together. It's hard to just break that and be like, this is really what's best for both of us, is ending it.
Well, and I'll point out that I think you should get married, like if it's an emotional reason. Like the only reason people should get married in my eyes are like the sentimental value of being married, the sentimental value of being able to say legally that is my wife or legally that is my husband, you know, that kind of thing. Because that means something to the other person, you know? And it would mean something to you.
I think it depends a lot on like your views and your morals, and necessarily like how you were raised.
Yeah.
If you were raised in a more traditional household, marriage probably means a little bit more to you. But if you were raised in a household that, you know, maybe you were raised in a household where your parents never really got married and they were kind of just like vibing together forever, and like maybe that's not something that's important to you. So
well,
I guess I feel like it depends on the situation a lot.
And thankfully we're not having this conversation, you know, what, 9, well, I guess it would have been 8, but 9 years earlier, where we're talking about a whole like group of people just legally aren't allowed to get married because in like,
hey man, shout out to the LGBTQ community. You guys rock. You guys got some crazy colors. Love it. Do what you want, man. Marry who you want. That's all I gotta say.
Y'all got some crazy colors.
Hey bro, that flag, I don't know why I don't have an LGBTQ flag. I should get a
We'll update the podcast as it goes,
Yeah.
like the set.
We'll get a flag.
We'll get a flag. I think that but like what I'm saying is like, you know, we're talking 8 years ago. Those people couldn't even get married, right?
That I feel like that seems so crazy because in this country we view like the whole freedom thing, and it's like first it was blacks, and then it was women, and now it's LGBTQ community, and it's just like, I mean,
yeah.
Are we ever actually going to be, you know, free and equal?
Well, and then you talk about that kind of stuff. That's when you start to question how separate is church and state. How, like, genuinely, how separate is the church and the state if gays aren't being married? And then when people were asking why shouldn't gays get married, it's against my religion. But that should have nothing to do with it when it's a government-regulated
What
thing.
was it? What was the movie? Footloose. Have you seen Footloose?
I've seen the new one.
Okay, well,
Not seen the old one.
The new one has the same issue. It has the same issue where basically they banned dancing.
Okay.
Because one of the pastor's son died.
Okay.
Because of it, and he thought it was like
Did
sinful and whatever to dance.
Oh,
And-
okay.
And like literally, it was illegal to dance in the town
Mhm.
and like listen to music loudly. And
And-
kids rebelled.
See, that's a whole nother thing too. Is like that idea is something is illegal because I don't like it, right? Like that's, and then there's religion. There's religion, and then there's that where it's like I don't like it, or it's
Well,
against my religion.
I mean,
to
no, but
allow
I feel
it.
like everyone in the movie, at least they
Sure.
went with it because the pastor said it.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how much of an influence like someone that is in like even parental power
Mhm.
has on your life. Like when your mom or your dad tells you something, that is very different from like if my guy Dylan over here told me something. I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, there's that authoritative view on your parents, and I guess that could fit in with like grandparents or uncles or aunts too, where it's like if you see those people as authoritative figures, then you're gonna listen to them, and their words are gonna mean more,
Mm-hmm.
And so for a lot of people, especially people who are in a religion of any kind, not just a certain religion, they see pastors or they see rabbis. I don't know what other religions are. they see those people as like authoritative figures who they listen to, right? And their words mean more, even though we're both just humans.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, hopefully we just, it might have led to the whole Catholic scandal thing. You remember that?
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
that? The whole touching little boys.
That whole thing.
Yeah, that whole
That
touching
whole
little boys
damn
thing.
touching little boys.
Makes me a little proud. Makes me proud that never happened to me, and it doesn't make me so proud to call myself Catholic. But
shout out to who is our priest's name at Saint Cecilia?
Father Sikora.
Sikora.
He just retired.
Oh, he did.
He just retired.
He's a dope dude. He's a cool
last year.
dude.
He's a
His
really
sermons
cool
were
dude.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Love that man.
I'm sure we'll have a whole podcast
To death.
as to how I don't
Dude.
believe that anymore, but his sermons were dope.
Hey,
He's
man.
cool.
Nothing wrong with being an atheist.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And what was I saying? Here's a thought that I had the other day, and I just want to know your opinion on it.
Okay. This is a totally different podcast.
No, this isn't. No, it kind of relates back to what we were talking about with like the whole family thing.
Okay.
I think family is a little bit overrated.
I think the connection you make with family is not overrated. I think that you trust these people because you. Well,
I think the trust comes because of the experiences. I'm talking nature versus nurture.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more nurture.
Who's the theorist who's like, you only trust your mom because she feeds you? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, I forget what it is, but I really believe in that as, like, as a kid, you only trust your parents because they feed you. You only trust your parents because when you cry, they're there to help you. And so, like, that's what family means to people on, like, a primitive stage. Is so, like, if, like, I am struggling even now as a 20-year-old, I will go to my mom. I won't go to... even in some stages, like someone like Dylan, who I live with, it's like I won't go to him all the time because even though I know he's not gonna like literally shit on my problems, he's gonna be caring. But my mom just has like a different mental thing to it, Like I know
what you mean. Family is always that thing that it's like you can fall back on, but I don't think. Well, I think what I'm saying is I don't think blood necessarily makes family. Like I don't think because your parents. Birthed you, that means that they mean really like any more to you than anyone else.
We're gonna need to watch the camera, by the way, because it's gonna shut down here in a second, I think. Because Ella told me 5 minutes, like 3 minutes ago. But I have an adopted sister, stepsister, but she's just a sister to me, right? She's not blood. She's don't want to guess, only 15 years older than me. But she's older. She's significantly older, and she has 2 kids, but, like, she's family. I love her like family. Excuse me. I have other siblings who they're not close like that. I have other step-siblings, and I just don't consider them siblings. But, like, I didn't meet my sister until I was, I think, like, 13 maybe, when my mom remarried, right? I didn't meet her until I was 13, and I didn't have that connection with her until probably 3 years ago. Where I like really start to consider her my sister.
I feel like to really consider anyone family, you got to be around them is the thing.
That's true.
So like going back to the whole separating thing, when your sibling is separated from you, it's just like you don't view them as family because it's like, dude, I never saw this guy growing up. Like he was just like one of my cousins that I saw whenever, and it's like that just changes the whole dynamic.
Well, and the guest you had on a past or maybe future podcast, Cameron Campbell, I don't want to talk too much on it, but like not having a father figure around for a while and then having one around, like it's difficult to really gain that trust in someone. And I can't talk on that because my dad's been around the whole time, and so have yours, obviously. Yeah. But like, it's something that I can't necessarily firsthand talk about. But it's got to be difficult to not have a father figure, and that's a whole conversation in and of itself. Is like, what does development look like when you don't have a father or when you don't have a mother around,
And again, going back to the whole like divorced parents thing, it's like that's why it just proves your point of co-parenting working more, and you really have to be willing to do it and willing to put that effort in for the kid, so the kid can grow up and be everything you want it to be. Because in theory, you love that kid and you guys want to stay together, or in the first place, one of the reasons you wanted to stay together was the kid.
Yeah, and the idea behind like not co-parenting is I think it's just like some parents aren't ready for it as well, I think it's a hard thing for a lot of parents to get behind and do. but it's staying in a broken marriage is worse than being in a happy divorce.
Okay. We're going to go quick fire right here, David.
Okay.
We don't have much time left, but pros and cons of having divorced parents. Go.
Pros: fucking 2 holidays and birthdays every single year.
You get a lot of presents?
Yeah. Pros: once you get a license, if you get tired of one parent, you can get away from them and go to the other parent. Pros: they both parent differently, so it's legitimately like being in 2 different houses. Like, if I needed to focus on doing my homework, I would probably go to my mom's. But if I wanted to just, like, fuck around with the boys and play video games all night, I would probably be at my dad's.
Cons?
I honestly don't. Hold on. Is it recording still?
Yeah, the red thing's still going. We probably
cool.
got probably like another minute or 2.
Okay. Cons is... See, and I don't know how many cons there really are, and I'm sure there are cons. But to go into another pro, actually, just real quick, is that you gain a more adult relationship with your parents as you get older. Now that I'm an adult, quote unquote, an adult, both of my parents will like openly talk to me about adult things regarding the other parent, but it's not like the shit talking that I referred to before. It's just like open conversation about like why the marriage didn't work and that kind of stuff. And that's definitely a pro. And I think the real only con is like I don't want to like claim to not have any cons of a divorced parent, but I know there would be so many cons had my parents not divorced when they did, because my mom remarried. She's so much happier, and frankly I think my dad's happier as a single man. And so I think the only con is thinking about how it could have been different had they not. And thinking, I think it's a violent it's a poisonous thought to think your parents would have been better when they were married. Yeah. And that would be the biggest con, is to think that they would have been better had they stayed married.
Well, that's it for the podcast today, guys. I want to give a big thanks to David for, one, being so open about the whole thing, giving us some great insight into those divorced parents for us that not have it. If you have, your thoughts, you can tweet at me or you can do whatever. But I hope you guys did.
You have a
this.
Twitter?
Yeah, I have a Twitter.
Like, can you make a podcast Twitter?
Tweet at me at the Colin 05.
No, can you make a podcast
I might make
Twitter?
a podcast Twitter, guys. We'll see what happens, but I hope you guys did enjoy this episode. Don't forget to go like, subscribe. This was a much better episode. I think we talked a lot better.
Colin's gonna put my Instagram.
I'll tag David. Everything in the he'll be in the links will be in the bio, in the description.
Also, like for me to come back and talk about why religion's fake.
David and I have plenty of things we could talk about. But David, thank you for being on the podcast.
That was nice.
That was great.
That was clean.
That's how you podcast, guys. But we'll see you guys all in the next podcast. Hopefully, you guys tune in again. Like, subscribe. We're available on Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. So I hope you all did enjoy. Keep grinding or doing whatever.